Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the city in which we live. Guide us this evening as we make our decisions in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
This is the Newnan City Council special call meeting for a public hearing on the 2023 annual budget. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Craver. Not Mr. Phillips. How are you this evening? Mr. Craver, would you like to? I was just actually writing your name on the agenda for later.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Phillips,
Absolutely.
take it
Thank you,
away.
Mayor. Council, excited to present the proposed FY 2023 budget to the council and to the members of the public that are either in attendance or watching via social media. I think I want to get started by recognizing staff and all of their hard work, from our city manager staff to the finance department staff. You see there on the slide that we did receive for the 2022 budget the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the 33rd consecutive year. Obviously, this 2023 budget will be presented for consideration for the 34th year in a row, and I'm confident that we're going to get there. So anyway, I want to say thank you to the staff for all their hard work during this presentation. I just roll it up at the end.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about budget challenges before you get into this, the numbers. Obviously, any government agency knows that we're very heavy on human capital, and you can see that we're about 78, approaching 80% of salary, benefits, or personnel costs. So anytime you're so heavy on the human capital side, you do have some inherent challenges in your budget. Obviously, try to maintain competitive salaries. Still the impacts of the inflation, the unknowns of the economy are certainly challenges to think about inside the budget. Our tendency to roll back the millage rate, which I know that our citizens really enjoy, but sometimes it becomes a struggle financially. Taking that into consideration, how we budget for fuel, other supplies during the pandemic era that we've been through, and obviously benefits are a tremendous factor into our budget equation each year. As was discussed during the retreat, and for reasons such as these, not only today am I going to present you the 2023 budget, but I'm also going to talk a little bit about a 24 and a 25 forecast. We're going to start with the city's general fund. As you know, the city's general fund is our main operating account, and oftentimes when you hear people talk about the budget, they're really referring to at times the general fund, even though we do have a total combined fund, which we'll get to later. Went too far. Start a little bit about budget trends. One thing I do want to highlight on there, anytime you see a green on a graph or presentation, that is our 2023 budget year. The yellow brackets are going to be the two forecast years. And obviously, as required by state law, our 2023 proposed budget is balanced at $33,090,250. It's a little over a $1,500 increase from the 2022 amended budget. No reserves were actually used to balance the budget, which is a good thing financially. Budget trends, again, going back to the green, you'll see last year we had a budget change of the amended budget for about 13.3%. This particular budget is a 4.8% increase over 2022. And my two forecast years, I'm forecasting 2024 at a 6.2% increase, and with 2025 falling down to just over a 5% increase. A little bit about our trends as it relates to the cost of living adjustments. Again, last year, as you know, we went through the salary adjustment, salary review, and it was the average salary adjustment in 2022 was 13%. This particular budget has an average salary adjustment of 3.5%. I'll get into more details of that later. And for the two forecast years, I have utilized a flat 3% for each year going forward in 24 and 25. As far as new employees, last year's budget added 6 additional employees. The budget that I'm presenting to you tonight is requesting 7 additional employees, and I'll get into more details on that later. And for the forecast years, I've remained at 6 each as we're forecasting obviously some needs, public safety, and in some of the public works service divisions.
One question.
Go ahead, Mr. Alexander.
How many for public safety?
Well, you'll see there's 5 in this year's budget for public safety. I'll get into that details in just a little bit. Always, you see this slide each year. It's been a familiar slide. It's actually our millage rate history. Some of the older slides I had went all the way back to the early 2000s. I decided to just kind of shorten it a little bit. You can see in 2012, our millage rate was 4.64. Been decreasing over the year. 2022, you adopted a rollback rate of 3.05. I do want you to pay attention to 23, 24, and 25. You see that I have them estimated as flat, no rollback. I've actually developed a 2023 budget predicting a holding the millage rate, and you will see as we get through the slides in our forecast years, I think there's going to be a situation we may have to really evaluate closely being able to try to hold that millage rate as we go forward. Again, we'll get into more of those details. But historically, this body's been very diligent about trying to be good stewards of the tax dollar. I'll talk a little bit about revenue, general fund revenue to be specific. Again, here's some trends and projections. I think I said earlier, it's balanced. State law requires us to have a balanced budget with no use of reserves. I do like to say that if you look at the 2023 proposed revenue of just over $33 million, you see that green column is actually lower than the 2022 estimate. Again, conservative practices, something we present to you pretty much every year. The 23 proposed revenue is actually 96% of 2022 estimated. Again, we're in a good position in case the economy or inflation continues so we can react. Again, the 2024 and 25s are the 6.2 and the 5% increases. There's more information in your book about those particular increases. Top revenue categories. Again, no surprise here. We've been saying this for quite some time. Lost and property tax are our top two revenue categories. Those two categories make up 53%, over half of our entire general fund. That's how important they are. And even if you look at lost, for 2023, it's just a little over $11 million, and property tax is just over $6.6 million. A pretty significant drop-off when you start looking at some of the insurance premium taxes, occupational fees, and so on and so forth. But consistently year to year, those revenue categories kind of remain in line, but you can also see that they're all somewhat flat for the most part. We are benefiting for some insurance premium increases. That's due to census distribution formulas. But after we get into the increase that we'll see in 2023, then we'll probably become pretty flat going forward with that particular category as well. Revenue changes. Kind of interesting here. Obviously, from a conservative budgeting approach, we're still going to be recognizing some pretty good value in our local option sales tax for a couple of years. But you can see in 2025, I'm seeing that change value drop. Obviously, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't think we can continue at the rate of growth that we've seen in the sales tax the last few years. And also in 2025 is the first year of our new loss distribution formula, which you know we agreed to a very minor increase in the, or decrease, I should say, in the distribution formula. And with everything being kind of flat in that 2025 era is where you start to see a potential larger dependency on the millage rate and the property tax in 2025. So a very interesting graph to show that particular column right there looking into the future. All right, let's change speeds a little bit and let's talk a little bit about expenditures. Again, general fund expenditures. This is going to kind of mimic your revenue. Again, it's balanced, so there's really nothing to really talk about. $33 million worth of expenses. I do want to say that we're projected to end 2022 just under $31 million of expenses. So again, we're in a pretty conservative situation, so where we can react if we need to, if the economy were to shift. Let's talk about some of the expense categories. Again, 78% salary and benefits. And you can see how wages are pretty consistent. From 2022 to 23, here we got the jump where we had to absorb the pay increase from last year. And 24 to 25, again, that's just the 3% factor that I put into the equation. Again, benefits, we're not going to see them go down. I think we're doing a pretty good job of trying to hold the line as much as we can. Again, operating is relatively flat, and capital, it's pretty slow. When you look at how much we fund out of the general fund for capital, it's only like 3.5% of our capital program. Another interesting trend line in the same categories, you can see since 2022, salaries increased 25% from 2022 to 25, 16% on benefits, which actually isn't that bad, 12% increase in operating, and actually a decrease of almost over 20% in our capital line item out of the general fund. Again, benefit changes. I do want to kind of highlight, not really the entire 5 years, but if you look from 2020 all the way to the green column in 2023 in insurance, for that 4-year period, it's only a 19.5% increase. Even though 19.5% is pretty good, in the healthcare world for 4 years, I'll take a 19.5% increase. It's pretty good. Doing the same thing, same methodology for retirement over that 4-year period, it was, however, 48%. So we had a pretty significant jump in pension contributions, something we certainly are continuing to work on. FICA is just simply straight directly related to salaries and workers' comp, and the staff just does such a great job here in preventing workplace injuries, and our workers' comp claims and exposures have been really, really stable and continue. But I think it's a lot of hard work, not luck. Expenses by function, I think you see this every year, and it's not surprising that we heavily support our police and our fire department. Almost 1/2 of our entire general fund expenditures goes to support the operations of public safety. You see there at 49%. If you were to remove salaries, benefits, and capital, you're left with operating. Operating is about 18% of our general fund, but even the largest operational category, such as contractual services, doesn't even equal $1 million. One thing that you will also see in these categories where we're heavily dependent upon 2 revenue sources, and operating, there's not as much deviation, and they're all pretty consistent. We have seen some move from new vehicle and gasoline from being a little lower down the line, moving up as the cost of vehicles have increased over the past few years. I know we used to be able to get a police vehicle for low 30s, not anymore. And obviously, while gas has trended back down a little bit, we still are actually, we're going to exceed budget for 2022 on gasoline. Employee summary, 300 full-time employees, 7 new employees, Councilman Alexandria at a cost of $423,000. 2 of those are police officers. I think the chief plans on them being 2 new investigators. 3 new firefighters. I know chief needs 3 firefighters to help fill shift schedules at the 3 stations, and 2 beautification workers. We've added new parks, we added link sections. We just need some help in beautification. In the budget, minimum starting pay and pay grade 10 would move to $16.78 in the city. That'd be the lowest paid position in the city, $16.78. And I also have a cost of living base of 2.5% with an extra 2% available based upon longevity. It's bracketed into 5-year intervals. So the largest pay raise for this particular year would be 4.5%. The average is 3.5%. All right, some quick takeaways from the general fund. Really confident in 2023. I think we're in a good position. We've got some conservative approaches. More confident in 2024 than I am 2025. 2024, in my opinion, looks better, even though I am predicting some increases in health care and pension contributions. The 2022 pay raise that we did will be reflected in 2024 pension contribution, so I'm expecting an increase there. 2024 is in a better position because I think, again, we get to take advantage of some conservative budgeting practices we've done on the revenue side that will, again, help us in 2024. So, again, 2025 is the year I start to have some concerns about the millage rate. In my 3-year projection, I used over $1 million increase in millage rate property taxes for that year to balance that budget. Again, we're still 3 years away. The importance of setting that millage rate or cutting services. Cutting services is always an option. I know it's something we don't like to do, but that could be magnified more by certain criteria. You know, if the health insurance claims were to increase, pension, inflation, and most importantly, if we're not successful at getting our next SPLOST referendum passed. We're really heavily dependent upon SPLOST for a lot of street maintenance items, which we'll be talking later in tonight's agenda. So, again, it's a forecast. I'm pretty confident, but I don't have a perfect crystal ball. Talk real quick about all funds combined. The City of Newnan has 8 different funds. Our total budget is $55.8 million, which is substantially up from the $43.9 million last year, 21% increase. I'm going to show you why. 2019 SPLOST increased from $9.2 million to $14.9 million. We obligated those dollars. We promised our citizens went to the polls to support. We are going to heavily invest in our transportation infrastructure in 2023 and also deliver the fire training facility. Impact fees, another increase from $625,000 to $1.35. Again, that money's targeted towards Lower Fayetteville road design, which has been approved by GDOT, and a purchase of a fire truck. Sanitation fund, there's a big chunk, right? Well, there's a reason behind that. We're taking customer service and billing in-house. Once we bill and payments are made, that's revenue. Once we make contractor payments to the hauler, that's expenses. All in all, we've got almost a little over a $4.6 million sanitation operation that has to be captured as revenue and expenses. That's why the increase is in that fund. Hotel motel tax, you see an increase there to 1.25. 2022, we're actually trending a little bit closer to 1.5, but there could be a decline in traveling potentially next year. That's kind of what I'm hearing. So again, conservative estimate at 1.25 for hotel motel tax. Those funds are actually shared between the city, the Noonan Center, and Explore Noonan Coweta tourism destination. Our total capital budget for all those projects that I listed has increased to 16.6. That's 14 projects that are funded through 4 funds. The last page are a listing of those projects. I'm not going to sit there and read those projects, but one thing that I do want to point out, of those projects, very, very, very heavy transportation oriented. All but 2 are transportation related projects. Mr. Mayor, members of council, that's my presentation.
Anyone? This is a public hearing on the 2023 budget, and this would be the opportunity for anyone who has come to the meeting tonight to speak on the issue of the 2023 budget to come forward and have any comments or questions. Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to ask council again if they have any questions or comments.
I did have one question, just for clarity's sake. I think it was on, I don't know, slide 3 or 4, where you showed a real spike in insurance premiums.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to that.
Just for clarity's sake, you
Yeah,
kind
I
of
can
just,
explain that.
where you're
Absolutely.
projecting that one.
Right here, was it this one, I believe?
Nah, it was one that was kind of just standalone by itself, a little further back, I think.
Now I'm getting back into, I can explain the spike in insurance.
Yeah,
premium.
I think that, you just passed it, it was the next one, right there.
Yep, okay, very good. Yeah, that spike right there. Again, it's related to the distribution formula. We get a set distribution based upon the percentage of population of Noonan versus the population of the state of Georgia. When I put this budget document together, I was estimating what that would be. Since this budget document has actually been presented, I've actually received a check, therefore I can better estimate what next year's number will be. Thus, instead of amending this budget year for 2023, it's one of my conservative techniques that I think will help us to present a balanced budget for 2024. Thus, that's the reason for the 2024 change of a little over $500,000 in that category.
Okay, thank you.
Just in case you didn't know, that is per capita in Georgia, and I think Coweta County's unincorporated brings in as much revenue as Fulton County's unincorporated. Because there's so little of Fulton County that's unincorporated.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Alexander?
Yes, sir. How many employees did you say we have currently? I think you said
If
3.
this particular budget is approved with the addition of 7, we'll be at 300 employees, I think 17 part-time, and 7 elected officials.
Okay, all right. Of that 300, public safety takes up what, 200? 198?
Police department is running about 110. Yeah, and we're running 60-ish, so we're about 170 to 180.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me in the police and fire. So again, more than half are located in the 2 departments, just like 49% of their expenses
Sure.
make up the general fund.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good job.
Yes, absolutely.
And thank you to our new finance director.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. But I hope the 24 and 25 forecast even though it's nothing we're going to adopt formally, we'll only be adopting the 2023 budget in January. I hope it gives us some tools and some information to where we may be informed of some decisions that we may have to make in the upcoming years.
How are you? All right. Okay. We've gone through the budget, we're in the public hearing. If you've got anything, we're still open. Okay, she does not. Anything else from anyone else?
I have a quick question, just kind of, maybe we can elaborate on and kind of go into the projections forward on the slide with the salaries and the benefits page.
Probably that one, wages and benefits.
Yeah, and talking basically about like the retirement plan and all that kind of stuff. And I know we've been having some issues with that lately.
Yeah, let me actually go to this slide right here. If you pay attention to, again, the green column's always going to represent 2023. You see, we're actually having a pretty good year. Our actuary came in this year a little better than what we really anticipated. We were really pleasantly surprised, which sets our budget for this year. Now, obviously, you do see, and we were certainly aware of and have had plenty of conversations about the impacts that we had prior to 2022. I am expecting an increase in 2024, as I just said, that those mid-year pay adjustments we did, hiring new employees, I mean, all of that factors into, I think, what that evaluation is going to be. We're pushing 15% contribution of employee salary towards pension. I know that I've got the pension committee. One of them are here tonight. Mr. Norton serves on the pension committee along with HR director and battalion chief in the fire department. They are working very diligently on a 401A defined contribution option. We've had a little bit of trouble getting some information and getting some of our options together. We don't want to rush it, but we do expect some reports and some consideration of this body in 2023. But one thing I do want to say, obviously, if we make a decision to move, you will not see an immediate substantial savings. It would be a long-term situation. But yeah, they are working diligently to get you some information for some options for changing the pension program.
All right, thank you. I know it's kind of a tough discussion to have sometimes, but looking at the numbers, I think it's going to be necessary.
Well, one thing that we're seeing, our pension program has a 10-year vesting period, and in today's market, that really isn't intriguing to a lot of employees. So we're thinking, you know, if we can develop a 401 that the city of Newnan matches, even if we match, you know, up to 8%, we're saving 7%. But they're getting a match of 8%, which is their money almost immediately. That is probably more enticing in the recruiting world today than it used to be. But then again, those are just some options that we're looking at.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. And good job on the budget.
And thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone? Anyone from the audience? I'm going to close the public hearing at this time and ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn this meeting. Our regular meeting will start at 6:30. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.